Alright guys, I think we'll get started. I'm just gonna drag a few people from the soda channel down because I said basically I'd be answering questions and stuff on things people had, so we'll do it in a channel basically where everyone isn't muted. Okay, so basically just to start off, obviously it's bright and early for some people. It's late for others, so I appreciate people showing up. We've actually a couple more people than I expected, which is cool. What I want to do is try and spread these out over the three time zones, so AU, EU, and US. AU and EU are easy to do. US is a bit more difficult to do, but we'll manage it. Um, they're not going to be like super regular or anything. Maybe once a month or twice a month if it's needed. But yeah, it's just to try and spread it out to be maybe not so EU focused. Right, so basically, what I wanted to start off with is just kind of a recap on the political situation in Eve and why it's kind of relevant to us and our part in that. So at the moment, obviously, the war ended. Well, the offensive against Imperium ended on the 2nd of August or the 4th of August. And basically, since then, everyone has been in full rebuild mode. Pappy have withdrawn to drones. They have groups like Fire and Fraternity and Co. kind of on the outskirts of that. But for the main part, the likes of Test, Horde, everyone has kind of withdrawn back to drone lands. And Imperium has kind of surged out of the 1DQ constellation. We've retaken the majority of our old space, in fact, some more. Obviously, Legacy left a lot of space behind when it died. And we've had some allies move in and take a lot of that. It's essentially buffer zones, right? And yeah, everyone's just kind of crabbing at the minute, really. There is some fights going on. Brave obviously have left every block. They are trying to do their own thing in. One sec, sorry. Everyone's trying to do their own thing in. Sorry, Brave is trying to do their own thing in Pure Blind. No, I'm not. Am I in White One, Logi? For fuck's sake. Testing. Right, I just went full fucking retard. I just spent the last 5 minutes giving the Alliance update, and then Looney is like, "Why are we in the Logi channel?" Apparently, I was in the wrong channel. Okay, well, I only got all right 4 minutes in, so let's try that again. I am recording this, by the way, so I guess I'll leave that in. Right, first of all, welcome everybody again. I've got 202 people here, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect that many. The reason we're doing this in AU time zone is because as an alliance we're growing, or we have grown quite a bit, and we're expanding out into other time zones that aren't just EU focused. So US, AU, I know there's RU as well in there, and some other time zones, but for the main part, the three major time zones are AU, EU, and US. So I want to try and spread the meetings out between those, just to try and be fair to everybody, basically. I know this is AU on a Saturday morning, so a lot of EU can be here. I doubt there's at least, well, there's not probably very few US times on here, but I am recording the meeting, so I will stick it up on the well, I'll stick it up somewhere for people to watch later if they missed out on this. Right, sorry, I'm just trying to, because I've been fucking reading through my notes for the last 5 minutes in the Logi channel, apparently in Fleet 1. So let me just go back and see where I was. Yeah, so basically, what I want to kind of start with is the political situation in Eve and our stance in it and why it's relevant to us. Um, so the war ended at the beginning of August, and since then, everyone has kind of been in full crab mode, as I'm sure everyone here is aware. Uh, we have retaken Fountain. Imperium took a lot of Imperium took all of its old space back, and our allies have taken Sov just outside that would have been left behind by Legacy when Legacy disbanded and ran away. So it's essentially buffer zones, I guess. You've got Pappy, who for the most part pulled back to Dronelands, and then you've got kind of on the outskirts of there as well, up in the north, and down on the southeast, you've got Fire and Frat in those two areas, who basically are essentially buffer zones to Pappy. So, and then kind of in the northwest, you've got Brave, who have struck out on their own. And then you've got the likes of Volta, Triumvirate, a bunch of these smaller alliances around Pureblind, Cloudring, Fade, Declan, um, who are kind of making up this weird little island between the two major blocks, basically. But as far as things go, the lines have been kind of drawn from Catch all the way up to Fountain and around. You also have PIBC, who is Evictus and Army of Mangoes, and they're in Legacy's old space, which is Esoteria, Paragon Soul, that area. There has been a lot of kind of border clashes between Fire. Fire Coalition are XX Death and all their alliances, the affiliates, like Razor and those groups. They have been pushing anyone they can basically in the east, trying to take as much space as possible, um, which is pretty interesting. We kind of have an issue with Fire insofar as when the war was going on and when we were in Curse, Fire caused us a few issues where they would come in, ref our structures, and then all of Pappy would come in after them. So we have a bit of an issue with Fire personally, which is why we've been kind of showing up to things that they have been showing up to, just to try and counter them a little bit. But as far as the overall situation in Eve, it's mostly just everyone rebuilding and waiting to see what CCP was going to come out with. We ourselves are still trying to rebuild as best we can. I know there's a lot of people have been doing a lot of things in and around Fountain, Outer Ring, Iridia, which is cool to see. I know our numbers have surged back up again, which is also great. We had an alpha, not last night, the night before last, Thursday evening. We had an alpha where we asked everybody if they could show up to please show up, and we ended up fielding 2 hack fleets. Now, one of those was a smaller hack fleet, but regardless, we're back, or we're getting back to pre-war levels of activity, which is great to see. Yeah, so our kind of stance in the overall, what we want to do within it at the moment is really focus on the rebuild, right? Because we took a major hit during the war. We kind of depleted a lot of our reserves of resources and ISK, as I'm sure everyone is aware. I haven't kept that a secret. The war was super expensive. We had to do the war bonds twice to keep things going, and we did. It paid off in the end. But now we kind of have to fill up those holes again, and that's kind of what we're working towards at the minute. Now, in between that, so like from an alliance top level, that is where the alliance is focused. Because if we can't rebuild properly now, then by the time these guys leave Drone Lands again, we're going to be in a really, really bad situation. So from a kind of an upper level, that's kind of where the alliance focus is at the minute. But that's not to say we're just sitting in Fountain like care bearing our arses off all the time. We Before the war, we didn't really like, we had a lot of fleets, but there was no real how do I say this? It was mostly like Rorqual fleets and stuff like that, which are great. Like they're a lot of fun, but it doesn't. That kind of fleet doesn't really prepare you for things like the hack meta, all right, and how to fight other blocks and stuff like that. So at the start of the war, we done okay, but I think I know definitely from an FC point of view, I was super rusty. I made a bunch of mistakes, and fighting during the war, and I'm sure it was the same for a lot of other FCs. Like just FCing during the war really kind of improved things a bit. So, and I'm sure it's the same for people in the fleet as well, getting used to ADCing, getting used to following broadcasts, etc., etc. Um, and it's not just about the hack meta, but it's mostly, I guess what I'm trying to say is we weren't ready for the block warfare in a way that I would have hoped we would have been. So what we want to do differently this time is to make sure that we are injecting ourselves into situations that aren't like live or like life or death for us, but that we still get a lot of content from, and we can still stay sharp with different things. So what I mean by that is during the war we spent a lot of time running fleets, and we became pretty good. And what we want to do is keep those skills sharp. So over the last week or so, maybe the last 2 weeks, we've run a couple of fleets, especially against the bigger blocks, and they've all worked out pretty well. We're still an extremely aggressive alliance in terms of like flying hacks and stuff like that. I know Bonga had a great fleet as well last night in US time zone, which again is great to see, because obviously a lot of what I'm talking about now would be more EU focused, just because that's where our numbers were. But it's something we want to obviously push out to all time zones, to make sure that number one, that we have content in all time zones, and number two, that we're kind of growing and nurturing all of our time zones, not just the EU. But basically, like any situation we can put ourselves into a fight, we probably we'll be looking to do that. So like if Fire and Test and these guys are running around like shooting people, if it's possible for us to get there to shoot them, we'll be doing that. I think it's important that we don't just sit in Fountain uh, and rat and mine, basically. So that's kind of the political stance. I know there's a bit of waffling in there, but hopefully it makes sense to people. The CCP released a dev blog yesterday, and I'm kind of face palming a little bit. I've reached this place of I'm not super upset about the dev blog, but I think that's more from a point of just starting to give up a bit on CCP uh, than the actual contents of the dev blog. So there was some good things in the dev blog. There was some interesting mechanics, but overall, the dev blog just shows that the guys who are developing and pushing in this direction, they really don't get Eve players, why people play Eve, how Eve works for things like alliances or corps on a bigger level, and it's annoying. So obviously a lot of people are going to have a lot of different thoughts on this. If you read Reddit, a lot of people had an issue with it. Other people thought it was great. It's high sec, low sec, wormholes. There's a bit of a divide on it. So personally, for me, I'm not super happy with the changes. The Rorqual changes are okay from a mining point of view. Basically, the Rorqual is no longer a mining boat, or at least not that it used like it used to be. It's a boost boat, like a boosting ship, and it does some mining. And now it's got this weird compression stuff, and there's a lot of stuff in it. If you haven't read the dev blog, I'd say go and read it just to see what it is. But um, overall, it's not a fix for scarcity. It's pushing the game personally, what I think, in the wrong direction. And it's just another example. Like, we've been waiting months for this dev blog, and it was a wet fart basically. And some other people agree. So basically, today, Imperium, or at least Goonswarm, have said that at 1700 Eve time, the Jitta riots will start again. For anyone who is a new player, you may not have heard, or you certainly wouldn't have been part of the last Jitta riots. For the older players here, you probably remember them, where years ago, basically, CCP went through a really rough patch of monetization of the game and how to get more money. There was an internal document released, or leaked, sorry, not released, that basically said something along the lines of greed is good and milk the player base for as much as possible. Now, I think some of that was taken out of context, and CCP have since, like, they came out at the time and defended different statements in it. But regardless, around the same time, they pushed Incarna, an Incarna expansion on Eve, which nobody wanted. It was walking in stations basically, and as well as that, there was like monocles that cost €50 and stuff. So it was just people really weren't happy. It very much looked like a cash grab from CCP, and the players responded. Everybody went to Jeddah and shot the structures, the statues outside of Jeddah 4-4 for days on end, until CCP basically came out and apologized. Seemed like a legitimate apology, and got their shit together. And it looks like the same thing is going to start happening again. Players have had enough, or, well, I'm not going to speak for all players, but uh, alliance leadership across some different alliances have had enough. And anyone who feels the same way, it's basically 1700 Jeddah today. I don't know exactly what's happening. I'll find that out later today, and if we want to do something as an alliance, then we'll do that. But that's basically a quick mention on the CCP, because I know Mittens had pinged out something there yesterday. Besides that, the patch notes obviously have brought in a lot of new things for us to consider, specifically with moon mining and space. So we are, as an alliance, going to keep an eye on that. I don't think the figures that were released, in the dev blog are going to be what's released on patch day, but I might be surprised. But regardless, we're going to keep an eye on things and make sure that our systems are up to date, like our IT systems are up to date, to take into account any changes, because I know moon taxing is a big thing. And as well as that, to see is there any way we can exploit our space further with some of these changes. So we are keeping a close eye on it to see how we can best take advantage of whatever changes do come. All right, so more specifically on the Alliance, we are going to be doing something we haven't done in a couple of years. Again, if you are a newer member, you probably won't remember these, but Initiative traditionally had 3 alliances, not just one alliance. So at the moment, we're just one alliance, but traditionally we had 3 alliances. The Initiative, Initiative Mercenaries, and Initiative Associates. So Initiative Associates was our renter group. We are obviously part of the Imperium, and Imperium has decided that there shall be no renting, which I think a lot of people were happy about. So as a result, Initiative Associates is kind of not really relevant anymore. But Initiative Mercenaries, we are going to reactivate. At the end of the war, we had a lot of interest from groups, big and small, about joining in it. And it was something I probably wasn't ready to deal with at the time, because we had just come off the back of a major war. Obviously, Bliss is busy in real life, and I'm not super familiar with the way these things were done. A lot of those corps joined, and I see a few of you here already, so obviously you guys are very welcome. But a lot of corps we actually turned away, because they weren't big enough or they weren't active enough or they didn't have the kill board that we would usually require. Kill board doesn't really matter, but it does give you an indication of what kind of corp or what kind of players people will have. And there was just a lot of interest that just wasn't the right fit for initiative at the time. Now, what what I want to do is restart Initiative Mercenaries. Initiative Mercenaries was the trial alliance for Initiative, where if you were looking to join the family, you would jump into Initiative Mercenaries. Theoretically, you would spend a couple of months in INIT Mercs, and then you would either be let go or you would join Initiative Main. Any of the corporations who were in Initiative Mercs at the time probably remember spending year after year in there, just because we obviously we got distracted quite a lot. But what I want to do is basically reactivate IM, and if we have some smaller corps who show promise, or we have corps who maybe are looking to change their lifestyle, but maybe aren't like the right fit for Init just yet, we're going to get them into Initiative Mercenaries and reactivate the trial period stuff again and basically try and help them grow to a point where they are eligible for initiative. Like I said, there was a lot of promising looking corps there, but it just they weren't at that level basically where we would accept somebody into the alliance. With that, kind of it goes hand in hand with corp. Our current corps, we're doing corp reviews at the minute. It hasn't been done in about 2 years, and it's something that was done kind of on a yearly basis just to make sure that we have no retirement homes, because the Alliance is not a retirement home. And if corps or players are inactive for a prolonged period of time, it's generally not good for an alliance to keep a lot of those numbers there. So it's just general cleanup. It's something that's always been done, and it's something we're going to start back on again. We are setting out a basic set of requirements for new corporations, but also for older corporations that we're going to have to meet basically to make sure that we're in a good place. But anyway, that's basically just a bit on Init Mercs. So if you have people who were maybe interested in looking at nullsec alliances but weren't quite sure, there might be an opportunity for them there now within Initiative Mercs. Corps that join Init Mercs have all the same rights, responsibilities. They are essentially a part of the family, but it's recognized as a place where people have to prove themselves to get in, basically. And obviously we can help them along the way with doing that. So that's Initiative Mercs. There was a note, drifter holes within Fountain. Please do not roll drifter holes in Fountain. It seems to be at the moment that coming into EU time zone, a lot of drifter wormholes are getting rolled. If you see someone rolling a drifter wormhole, slap them in the head repeatedly until they stop rolling it. Drifter holes are this weird thing where a lot of alliances use them, but we're pretty good at using them offensively. Actually, Initiative is the best alliance at using them offensively. The likes of Shvo and Swifty and Pando and all those guys who are leading fleets through these wormholes daily and just bagging so many fucking kills. Like, I think we've lost 3 Rorquals, I think. I think we've lost 1 Rorqual in Fountain since we came back, maybe 2. And we've killed dozens. So leave drifter wormholes open. If you're looking to do crab sites, do them in a system that's not in a drifter hole. If you're looking to mine a moon, leave the wormhole open, at least in EU time zone, because our FCs use them. They provide great content, and we're pretty good at defending things that come through those wormholes. So just please don't roll drifter holes. Once it hits late EU time zone, it's okay to roll them. So I think what we had said before was 2300 to 0500. So 11 o'clock in the evening to 5 a.m. It's okay to roll them, but outside of that, leave the drifter holes up, please. Um, in terms of the rebuild is going fairly well. We are ISK positive again as an alliance. That doesn't mean we have a ton of ISK sitting around doing nothing. We are investing heavily into stuff like buybacks, into SRP, obviously still. Now, we did reduce SRP rates, and there is a strict SRP budget in place per month, which sounds a bit bizarre, but unfortunately, just we have moved to a new model of income taxation, and we are still finding our feet. I'm not going to lie on that. So we've had to really watch what we're spending money on. Obviously, SRP is very important. It's important that people don't lose lots of ISK, like on fleets and stuff like that. But just for the minute, we've had to reduce it. On the flip side, people have a lot more time to Care Bear, so the financial burden shouldn't be as severe as it would have been during the war, for example. But yeah, we're putting a lot of money into buybacks and stuff, so there should hopefully be a decent amount of buybacks on the B170 market. I know I check the Corp Hanger every so often, and it seems to fill up pretty nicely. So it's a good way for you to make money, basically, or quick money at least in Fountain. Like I said, we are ISK positive again, so Fountain has reached a place where we're no longer spending more money than we're earning as an alliance. And the money that we are earning, or the excess money that we're earning, is even after the programs like SRP and like buybacks, is going into a separate fund, which will kind of be used to get ready for the next war, as well as getting ready to pay back the war bonds. On the 1st of February, the war bonds will have cycled over a year, at which point the alliance is going to start buying back war bonds, at least from the first iteration of the war bonds. So we have that coming in February, but that's a little bit away yet. But overall, things are looking pretty positive from a rebuild point of view. Obviously, if we could find a way to make a ton of ISK very quickly, I would prefer that, because we could then get back to full SRP rates and not have to worry so much about things like the market taxes and refining taxes and things like that. But unfortunately, the game is just in a place at the moment where there's not a lot of ISK to be made on an alliance level. Sorry, there is a lot of ISK to be made, but in terms of running an alliance, it's not a lot of ISK. For example, we burned through close to 3 trillion ISK during the war. Actually, it's probably a bit more than that, but is in and around 3 trillion ISK on things like structures, SRP. So obviously that's a massive amount of money, and there's not many mechanics in the game at the moment that will generate like hundreds of billions of ISK every month. So anyway, it's just it is what it is. We're trying to do our best with what CCP has put out in front of us, and yeah, that's all part of it. Something that we will be doing, I know moons are kind of up in the air at the moment because of the changes that CCP have brought out, but what we want to do is open up Fountain moons a little bit more. So the Alliance has nationalized moons in Fountain, at least the valuable ones. But I know some people might want to drop moons on slightly less drop Athenors on slightly less valuable ones. So we are currently building the tooling at the moment to track that, and we'll give a date. So it is not today. So please don't go start dropping Athenors and stuff, or I'll have to get angry. But sometime in the near future, corps or individuals will be able to drop their own Athenors on whatever moons are free in Fountain. There will be a monthly charge for that, so it's not free for all. And there will be some other rules and regulations in place with that. but it is something we want to do. Obviously, we have a lot of moons in Fountain. Fountain is a massive region, and any moons that are not currently in use, basically corps or individuals should be able to put into use, basically. So that's something that is coming. I think that's pretty much everything. The last big thing was the wiki and auth. So um, obviously when Ariel joined with the Tickle guys during the year, he brought some more IT knowledge into the alliance, and he got the wiki set up, which is awesome. Himself, Aaron, and people like VHS and a couple of others have put a lot of work into getting the wiki up and running, as well as the ship fittings on the dashboard. So people who are kind of older in it will remember we done it all on the forums. We're kind of swapping that all now over to the auth, where your ship doctrines, ship fittings should all be on auth. During the war, we kind of just prioritized the doctrines we were using. So I know things like Capitals, Supers, Titans have not been transferred over yet. I am currently working on those, so they should be finished by this weekend, I hope. And then we will be fully up and running on the auth ship fitting tool, which is super useful and really cool. Which yeah, so basically we'll be looking to finish and get everything transferred onto the auth this weekend, providing no major shit kicks off. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. I don't really have anything else or any more news or updates kind of from an alliance level. We're doing well. We're going to keep doing well, and we're going to try and improve more things, basically, is the TLDR. So um, if people have questions, don't talk over each other, please, as much as possible. But if people want to ask questions about different things, go for it. If you want to head off, that's absolutely fine as well. Thank you for coming. But yeah, I'm going to open the floor, basically. Nobody? No questions? Are we taking over Cloudring? That was something I should have probably mentioned or talked a bit about. No, Cloudring, we took two systems in Cloudring because we want the jump bridge connection back up from BDHD to F7C, which links Fountain to LowSec, basically. But no, we've no intention of taking space outside of Fountain. Sure. The keys are already dropping. There are sites in LowSec, basically new is it SSC or SCC or something sites in LowSec. You scan them down, you run them, you get a random key based on what area of LowSec you're in, and you can access the reserve banks already through those. Unfortunately, they're super random and not really something we can monetize at the minute, at least on an alliance level, but they are in the game. We have always gotten a cut of the TTT ISK, and we are still getting a cut of the TTT ISK. Yeah. I mean, we'll do our best to, yeah, yeah. But there's no major deployment like coming in the next few months, at least, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, any chance we get to interrupt what tests are doing, we will be. And I know Shvo in particular has a hard on for killing test oracles, and it shows if you look at Zkill. So we have been doing whatever we can to shit on test, basically. Yes. Basically, it's a lot of effort, and um, trying to organize it in a fair way is just something that personally is just too much of a too much hassle. Um, Instead, we opted to try and raise awareness on the iFrac channel, which I probably also should have mentioned, to get people mining Alliance Moons in Fountain and paying the taxes instead of trying to organize a big Alliance mining op. One of the big reasons is a massive Alliance mining op generates a lot of attention, and if we lost 20, 40, 50 Rorquals on an Alliance mining op, we'd be nearly duty bound to reimburse those, which we just can't afford at the minute. So um, we weighed up the pros and cons and went with the decision instead to just try and make things as easy as possible for people to mine Alliance Moons and pay the tax that way instead. Um, yes, but uh, Brave Brave aren't our so from an alliance point of view, yeah, like if you get a chance to shoot Brave, awesome. Right. They obviously invaded, they were a big part of the war. So for that, they deserve to be shot. But at the moment, Test and Pandemic Horde actually are really going after Brave to try and shit on them because how dare they leave Pappy. So we don't really want to dogpile on Brave at the minute because everyone else seems to be doing it already. And when you land on grid and you see Test and Horde shooting Brave, it would be better to shoot Test and Horde, basically. But that being said, we're not friends or anything. There's no agreements. If you see Brave, shoot Brave. Yes, they are indeed. I see some questions in iGeneral. Will we stage ships and clones down to PB instead of traveling down there every time? Not at the moment, no. Our jump bridge network is extensive. Yes, it might take 15, 16, 17 jumps to get somewhere, but uh, we're not in battleships. We're in Munins that move very quickly. So, again, if you're weighing up the benefit versus the hassle of staging somewhere, no, we've no intention to move stuff down there at the moment. Malcanis is asking, we folded IM into INIT main because the SOV system made it inefficient to operate as two alliances. Come the next war, what then? The big benefit of the thing that was shit about it before was things like pause passwords and that kind of thing. Everything now is done off an ACL, so there's no major downsides to having a second alliance as a trial alliance. We're not going to have them taking SOV anywhere unless we need to make use of a second alliance capital. But yeah, basically a lot of the issues that were there before, kind of the ACL fixed it basically. Someone wrote on Reddit that all major alliances have a soda on the weekend. Do we know anything about that? No, and I have asked. I think it's just someone trolling. Maybe I'm wrong and a bunch of stuff happens. I don't know. A lot of alliances seem to be mentioning January 1st as like the next big thing. But every time I ask somebody, well, okay, what's happening in January 1st? Nobody has a fucking clue. So it's like somebody has just mentioned January the 1st and then everyone has started parroting it. Now, maybe something will happen. Again, I don't know. But yeah, I don't think anyone's looking to make any major moves at the minute. Yes, we will. We'll be doing it soon. What I wanted to do over the last week was try and get a feel for what hostile alliances respond with what different things where on the map. So, for example, if we took remote rep battleships somewhere, is it likely we're going to get dogpiled by three different Munin fleets? If yes, then it's no point in going there. So we'll be using them shortly. Um, Haku is asking about fat statistics. I know Aaron is working on the fat system at the moment, or has been working on it, kind of over the last few weeks. So there, I don't know exactly what the end system is going to look like, but yeah, if I'll speak to him about to see if there's any way you can track your own statistics, and if there is, then awesome. If not, then corps should be able to do it like themselves. So you could ask your CEO, for example. Oh, hello. You done fucked up, Aaron. Fantastic. All right, awesome. Sorry, I didn't know you were here, dude. Thanks for uh, thanks for that. Yep. So that's on the fats. On the fats, Aaron, it is the thing, right? Like where basically Zkill has shut down their external API, so the way we've done things up until now is no longer possible. So fats are going to become the thing that we base alliance activity off of, right? Yeah, cool. All right. Um, all right. Someone's asking, would C5 to C6 fleets or incursion stuff be helpful? Yes, it would. But obviously it takes someone to organize that. Yes, 11th, you're right, where it was horrible to manage contracts between INIT and IM, but that's no longer a problem because we don't do contracts anymore. It's all market based. An idea of when slash how we would get an update on the old corp stuff is going to work. I don't really know what you mean. If you want to expand on that question, I'll try and answer it. Okay. When we move our caps in catch, we are leaving the caps in catch for the moment. It's iron walls; they're not being used in Fountain, but they will likely see action in the south. So we're going to leave the iron walls there for the minute. If it looks like stuff is really heating up down there, we'll do a massive move up and move everybody else's. But for now, just leave them there. I've already answered the battleship one. An alliance policy on mobile warp disruptor bubbles in Fountain. A rule of thumb is if you can use a hick or a dictor, use a hick or a dictor because the bubbles can go up and down. And we don't want any major kind of alliance routes blocked. So, like if you're bubble camping KVN, CTAC-N, that's a major issue because that's our quick way in. Excuse me, quick way in and out of Delve and other areas of Fountain. So, look, there's no hard and fast rule against it. If you want to drop mobile bubbles for camping, sure, but if it's going to be in the middle of a major like alliance route or something that people use a lot, don't be surprised if it gets shot. And if it gets shot, it's you know considered lost. We're not going to deal with that. Personally, anytime I come across bubbles that are in my way, I don't care whether it's an INIT ticker or a goon ticker. Like on fleets is what I mean. Not if I'm just roaming around in a shuttle, but if I'm on a fleet and somebody has bubbles up, I'll kill them. Like I don't. As far as I'm concerned, you dropped them, you left them, and now they're in my way, so I'm going to kill them. That's basically the approach we take to it. Shines, why do you hate US time zone and make us? The thing is, I'm recording it, so you didn't have to wake up, and I'll stick it up. I'll stick it up afterwards. But yeah, I appreciate the dedication. Hmm. No, um, no. Like I said, like people are gonna have different takes on the patch. Like for example, someone like me who Rourke will mind heavily. I'm a bit disappointed about the Rorqual changes, but you know it is what it is. For me, it's more the overcomplicating of things again, like where they've doubled the amount, but actually then you to take into wastage and compression wastage, and it's somebody is trying to make this look like a fucking sports car, but then you know it's actually not. It's a fucking horse and cart, in my opinion. So no, if you agree with it, obviously don't go. Right, there's no alliance directive, but if you aren't happy with this change or changes in general, then I would recommend people go. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I've asked a few people. Some people say yes, some people say no. But the thing that really hit, yeah, no, unfortunately not. You're right, Ned. The patch isn't the worst, but it is kind of just one more example of the disconnect between what people want or what the game should be and what the direction they're actually taking it in. Obviously, everyone's view of the game is different, right? But yeah. All right. Any more questions? Okay, cool. Well, look, the next alliance meeting, I'll probably let it be for a while, just so we can, like, if there's any big changes coming out that we want to go over, we'll do that. Again, I will record these and stick them up somewhere so that people not in that time zone are able to catch up on it. But yeah, look, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Watch out for fleets today, guys. There's probably going to be a couple of pings at least. I see some hostiles are pinging different fleets already. So if we can, we're gonna go and have some fun. Oh, actually, one more thing. I'm gonna change the name on the Munins. I really didn't like the Munchkin name, and we changed that to Boom Shakalaka. But that's a lot of words, so we're just gonna call them Shacks instead. Somebody suggested it, and I kind of agree with it in Fleet the other day. So yeah, Munin Doctrine is now called the Shacks, SHAQ. Because when we fit scrams, you need to do the shack wiggle and look at a hostile simi. It's it's an extremely important part of the immune doctrine, right? Yeah, yeah. It's fine. Oh, and for anyone who's still here, Bonga put a ping in PSA about Serbs. We here in Initiative feel strongly about introducing the maximum amount of doctrines possible. So if you can fly Serbs or are interested in Serbs, obviously react up to that as well. We cannot. Ah, cool. All right. Well, I'm going to end the recording there then.